I don't really know why they hide it or whether or why they cover it up or anything like that. I guess it's because John McCain and Richard Nixon and also uh, um, Trumpy and the other ones, they're still hanging on to whatever they had. Like I say, originally the White House was rented out. It was originally a mine, and then basically I built steam engines from the iron ore that was inside the mine that's underneath the White House. And originally, when I rented out the White House with a white steam train, this beautiful white steam train that was parked next to the White House, and a train track used to go right up to it. And I wasn't really living there. I was working somewhere else at the time. So basically, I rented out the White House with the train. Anyway, and and I was busy doing other things. Anyway, so JFK or somebody goes over there and they get in the train. They start it up and they start going around. They start giving out soda pop. They go and raid the Chinese or the Korean soda factory. They basically go over there, shoot everything, and kill a bunch of people. And they bring it back here to the States, and they start giving it out, saying, "Vote Republican, be with the Republicans. Oh yeah, we're doing all this great stuff." And they start giving out soda pop out of the back of the train, and they're renting my White House, And so, like I say, later on, they build all these big tinfoil battleships. And JFK and John McCain, all the other ones are like giving out soda pop, and they're sneaking, using my subs to go rape women, and they're doing all this bad stuff, And then they get a bunch of battleships built, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go blah blah blah, we're gonna give it to them." Basically, they shell. Basically, blacks come in and basically raid Germany, and rape a bunch of women and kill all my people, or kill as many people as we can, and then we're shelled by the other people. Anyway, so my Bismarck, I think, goes out there and sinks a bunch of them. They're just tinfoil ships, basically, with cannon. And they basically just try and stomp my Germany, because I own it. And they want to take it over. And once they take it over, they're like, "Ah, it's ours! Ah! We won it fair and square! We won you in battle! In fair battle!" Anyway, like I said, meanwhile, John McCain and Richard Nixon, all of them, they're raping people and poisoning towns and doing all this bad stuff. Rodney somewhere is in there with it, I don't know, covered up, and Rick Bush and everyone else and other people. And basically, they go and raid, and they're like, "We won, vote, well, Republicans are right, blah blah blah." They're doing all this shit, and they're raping women like crazy. Anyway, so like I say, you really can't hide that big of a thing. So pretty much, Nixon and then JFK is gonna. They all blame JFK, and JFK gets a facelift, and then they kill one of his brothers, or something like that. Anyway, so all this goes down, and pretty much they just trained a bunch of kids and put them in a bunch of ships, and then had them go shell a city, and then put it's like BD or whatever. It's one of the other. JFK or Nixon people. It's someone in the White House over there. They're like, "Oh yeah, I bet you $5 my army can win." And so then they tell a bunch of people to go attack these other people and stuff, and there's nothing to be gained. It's just like people shooting each other. And anyway, it's basically just my people, or people that work for me, or people that whatever. There's pitching two countries against one another, and lying about it. And then so eventually it all is found out, and like I say, it turns out that John McCain and Richard Nixon, all of them, were all rapists and murderers. And so, like, in the end, basically none of them can even have sex. Women won't even touch them because they've had so much sex, and they've actually done all this stuff. And basically, like the women won't even touch them, and the women shun them basically, and are like, "No, we don't want to have sex with you. You're nasty and disgusting." Because, like I say, all those people that had sex with any of those sub crew, they all got crabs, and they all got other venereal diseases. Their dicks started leaking and stuff like that, and they were pouring gasoline and alcohol and whatever they could over their dicks, and they were basically really miserable in those tin cans. They had gotten shot up, and the depth charges had hit their ship, and while it didn't sink them, they were running around in knee-high water and stuff like that. It was getting pretty miserable, and they couldn't even buy fuel. They couldn't get fuel. They were still, they would go in and they would shoot as many as they could and grab as much fuel as they could, and then roll it down the road back down to the harbor and pour it in the ships and try and get as far as they could, limp as far as they could. And then they had the battleship crews come in, and they did whatever. They're basically just pirating with battleships and stuff and sinking and killing people like crazy. So people just didn't go out into the water that much. They stayed to the land and moved around the other way. And basically you just communicated through other ways. And pretty much they had to run on the sea for a while. But then they got old and ran out of fuel and stuff like that. Like, you can't make fuel out there. They tried hitting up the oil rigs until we could defend them, and basically started defending them. Like I said, I had a big battleship crew fleet myself. And so, but I only had so many of those. I only had like 3 or 4 of those, or 8 real battleships. So, and compared to their basically tinfoil crew, as they called them. They called them tinfoil dons or whatever, because they're so because they're so thin, or tinfoil ships or whatever, because one of my shells could just go could just go compared to my ships, because you hit one of my ships, it's like ding ding, it bounced off, or it just or if it does get a hole, it's like a hole this big, and it just goes down in there and buries itself somewhere down in the bilge. And it's like, well, we got a 6-inch hole in our hull, patch it, and so then we had goo and stuff. You could just stuff rags in the hole. It doesn't really tear the metal out of the way. It just kind of like goes through the deck, and doesn't really put a big hole in anything, Because like I said, you can only get an explosive charge on one of the ones where you're not going through 6 steel. In order to get through the 8 inches of steel, you need a big shell, a big heavy shell. So when you do get in there, it doesn't really, they really didn't get the explosive down. If it did explode, it exploded at or just a little bit past. You really can't get the bottom. So they just tore up the deck basically and did some other damage. Anyway, though, but like I say, it's all found out what Nixon and JFK and basically like Donald J. Trump or whatever, Donald, and basically how they're all just lying and killing people and getting people killed. And, like I said, it's all just since 1930, it's just basically a bunch of people just shooting each other or shooting innocent people. Like I said, they were just killing civilians basically and stealing their shit and claiming it was for king and country or God and country or whatever. But it wasn't. It was just, they were just stealing the cars and driving around and acting stupid and drinking and doing drugs. Anyway, and just basically terrorizing and mostly raping women. So, like I said, it all comes out, and people are like, I'm sorry. And people are like, we fixed your ship. They're like really, really sorry to me because they understood how I was like this massively great guy, and I helped Germany a lot, and I helped England, and I helped all these other people. So a lot of there's this huge outpouring of help where they realize how I was the greatest person ever, and they blame me for everything, and they said all this crap that wasn't true. And so people are really sad, and they're like, we fixed your ship, and we're sorry. And they were almost you could hear like the tears in their voices, because they realized who I was and what I had done, and how a bunch of liars had just basically stomped on me and killed me and taken all my stuff. And I was this wonderful inventor that invented all these cannons for doing rocks and getting metal and stuff, because I'm back from the old days. And so basically they were really sad and they were sorry. So they fixed my ships, they put them all back in working order, even brought a few up from the bottom, and put everything back the way it was. Anyway, because they realized how these people just run around blowing shit up. So anyway, and then Rodney and some other people do it again or something. Whatever. Anyway, just a lot of crap.